Hello, my name is Ionis. In this tutorial we're going to take a step further of our original video where we created all the designs, we added all the objects for our new application software. Now, I've tried to make things as simple as possible for people to comprehend. So I've developed the software, I've created a web page with all the code. So if you go to the original video tutorial, on the first version of the video tutorial, you will be able to see on the very first comment that I've got a URL there. If you click on this URL, it will take you to the actual page. I will put this on the comments of this video as well. Now, this page, once I finish this video tutorial, I'm going to put the second video tutorial here. Now, the code is here. So as I copy and paste the code from here, I will explain what the code does. Now, the first thing we need to do is highlight all the variables I have created for you. So we're going to copy these variables and we're going to go to our project. We're going to double click on the total button. We're going to go back here. Now, above the total button, private sub, we're going to press the enter key a few times and we're going to paste all our variables. Now, feel free to change the variables to the variables that make more sense to you. Now, the small variable, it will be, I put here some programmers comments. This is the var for the small sizes. I'm going to put here, this is the var for all sizes. I'm just going to copy this line, paste it down. So this is the var for the designer, for the designers. Let's press the enter key here. This is the var for the quantity. This is the var for the variable for the small size, the cost of the small size. So this is the var for to allow me to know the cost for the small size t-shirts. I'll copy this and paste it down for the medium size t-shirts. And for the large size t-shirts. Now this is the terms and conditions. This is the T and C check box var. So which will allow me to see if the value is true or false. This is the info for the large t-shirts. Make sure there's programmers comments there, put a single quote. I'm going to copy this. This is the info for the medium. And this is the info for the small t-shirts. This is the variable for the total. This is the var for the total. This is the var for the cost. And here I created some variables for the validations. So this is the var for the exit button, and this is the var for the to ensure that people don't leave blank fields on the form. Okay, so now I've explained each variable. I'm ready to actually start action, put some code to the button. So when somebody clicks on the button total, I want something to happen. What I want to happen is, if I go back to the website, here's the button, private sub for my button. So I need to highlight everything after this line, and I need to keep going down. Now if I hold the shift key down and keep clicking the bottom arrow key on my keyboard, so I need to make sure that I'm not going to move to the next button. So I've got some if statements. The code is quite big for this button. I'm checking quite a few statements there, and I'm using the right arrow key now by holding the shift key down to highlight this section as well. So I copied now all this code. All this code goes onto my button total. I'm going to Control C to copy. I will explain all the code in a second, and I'm going to paste this code here. Okay, so I'm going to start. Let's go here. That's my button sub. I'm going to start with making sure that the list order details items is clear. So I'm going to make sure that every time I click on, before I click on my button, I want to make sure that this field is clear. So I'm going to put here programs comments, clear the list box. Okay, so now I have cleared my list box. I'm creating an if statement to check that the information, there is information on all the elements I've got. So somebody has selected something from the combo box, somebody has selected something from the size, somebody have typed something on the quantity, and somebody has actually selected the terms and conditions to ensure, to confirm that they agree. So if I go back here I've got my validation. So all this code here is all about validating that the person has actually added the correct information, they have selected something from that stuff. Let's minimize this. Anyway, so to do this, we're going to say if statement, so check to ensure that the user has selected a designer. Okay, that's what it's going to check. This if statement will check that the user has selected designer, and if they haven't, you have not selected designer, then they have a message box appearing, and then with two buttons, OK and cancel, and then the icon they receive is the question. Now I've checked my designer tech checkbox. Now I need to check my combo box for sizes. So check to ensure that the user has selected a size. Okay. If the size is not selected, you have not selected the size, and then you repeating what we have above. And I'm going to put here check to ensure that the user has selected quantity QTY. So they have added something on the quantity field. Now for the quantity as well, make sure the quantity text box contains the number 0 on the text field. Make sure you do that. Okay, let's go back here. Now then we're going to say check to ensure that the quantity is not greater than 3. So you can only sell 3 t-shirts at the time. This is the validation rule here for you, and this is the checkbox, check to ensure that the customer agrees with our terms and conditions. Okay, hope this piece of code here does make sense to you. Okay, so we're repeating the stuff over and over again. The only thing, we don't do anything different, so as you can see here, the code is exactly the same. Okay, now we've checked to make sure that all the options are selected, the correct options are selected. Let's zoom in here. We're going to create, we're going to call the variable terms and conditions. So on our variable, on one of our variables, we have terms and conditions. As you can see here, terms and conditions, which is a boolean, which is true or false. So we will say that the terms and conditions variable is equals to the checkbox terms.checked. Now the sizes variable, which we create further up again, is equals to the COB sizes.text, and the quantity is equals to textbox txt quantity.text. Now if you execute this code and it doesn't work, to make sure that you're not going to receive any error messages, we're going to convert the text box to an integer, and this is how you're going to bypass the issue. However, if this gives you an error, remove that and keep things plain, because the users will always put information here anyway, and we have the value 0 instead anyway. So see how it works. If it doesn't work, convert the text box to an integer. If it does work, no further action is needed. It depends the version of Visual Studio that you use. Anyway, I'm just going to convert it just in case anyway. Now, so here I'm going to put add a value to the var. So the var is the terms and conditions. Add a value to the var. The value is the sizes and the text box, and add the value to the quantity. So all these three do the same thing. Okay, so we say that the variable is equals to the object basically, because the end user will interact with the object and not with the variable directly. Now we have the information. So the large information, again, the variable we created at the beginning, the large information variable is equals to, you have select the following size, and then you put sizes, and then the cost is my large. Now my large is the cost that we've put on the variable here, my large, which is 40 pounds. My medium is 35 and my small is 30 pounds. So let's go back here. So we'll put here add info to the var. And I'm going to put here add info to the var and add info to the var. Now this information will be displayed on my list box here, as you can see here, large info. Yeah, so the list box will add the large info information. If it's M, it's going to add the medium info, and if it's S, it's going to add the small info. Okay, so here we create an if statement, check to ensure that if the user has selected large, medium / large, medium, or we'll put here small. t-shirt, and display the value onto the list box. So this line of code, yeah, code starts here for the above. Let's put a few lines here. Code starts. I'm going to copy this. Here's my if statement. My if statement finishes here. Code ends. And in fact, I need to delete this. We don't need this here because I've added this further down. I will update the website as well. Let's keep things nice and neat. Okay, so the code starts here, the code ends here. So this is basically checking if the user has selected the L. If that's the L, and as long as the terms and conditions is equals to true is checked, basically, then we okay to display the information onto the list box. Let's put here if quantity equals, why is that? And if let's press the enter key here. And if, don't over there, and if is here, let's remove them. If okay, total minus what this is happening should be alright. That one. Let's have a look. And if why we're having a diff here. Okay. Let's press the end if here. That's better. It's just space issue. Right. If this is true, oh, yes, let's put this in the. This is because of the copy and pasted from the website. That's all. Make sure the code looks like this. So anyway, we explained this section of the code. Now, the total is equals to the quantity times the cost. So every time we call the variable total, we know the total is quantity times cost. So if quantity is greater now, is less than 4, as long as this is true, then we can display the information on the list box. If not, then we don't display this information to the list box. Now, let's put here as long as the QTY is more than 3, less than 3, is less than 3, then we will have the following info on the list box. Here is this is the total var. Okay, we create the total var calculation to find the total. Okay, so this what this if statement does. Now, if the total spent is more than £10, then the following if statement will act executed. Let's put act. All right, so if total is greater than 100, then let's remove the and if here, then the total, what happened here, then the total is equals to this. Come on. And we calculate the total. Let's put a tab there, and we're going to end up the end if the statement here. Okay, so if the total is greater than 100, then total equals total minus the total, the 10%, and the txt total dot text equals total plus, so we can add the VAT basically. So add the discount, add the VAT. Okay, let's put here minus again. Okay, it's the character minus character. When I copy and paste from the website, it's changed the character, so delete it and put it on. If you can see a red character there, underlined character, just delete it and retype it. It's because of the HTML formatting. Okay, we finished now with this if statement. We add now, we're checking the quantity. Now, if the quantity is more than 3, then we need to clear the list box and the txt total, so fields. Okay, that's what this code will do. Now the clear button, we need to make sure, so we clear the QTY field, we clear the total field. Now the QTY is that one here, the total is that one here. We clear the size, let's put tab here. We clear the designer, we clear the list box, oops, and we clear, we uncheck, let's say we uncheck the T and A, oh, sorry, C box. We uncheck the T terms and condition checkbox. Okay, right, so that's all the code that is been added onto the total button. Now the next thing we need to do is go back to the website and add the code for the Actually, no, this is the checkbook. Let's go back to the code. Let's scroll further down. This was the check button. That's why the clear button. Okay. So this clear button, let's delete that if that doesn't work for you. So go back, just in case you rename your clear button differently, make sure you double click this clear button and paste these lines of code here. Okay. We're going to go back to the website and we're going to highlight the last and if up to this, so the private sub btn exit. So we're going to copy this code here. We're going to go back here. We're going to double click on the btn exit. Now we're going to paste this code. And what this will do is we call in the variable we created further up, call the var val exit. So we create the variable further up. Now the variable we say is equals to, now because it's a string, is equals to message box.show. Are you sure you want to exit the app? This is followed by our company name, followed by the message box buttons, which in this case is yes or no, and then followed by the message box icon, which is the question. Now here we create an if statement and we'll say if the variable is equal dialog dot yes, so if the user has selected the yes button, then application dot exit. Otherwise, if it's no, nothing will happen. Okay, now we have the code in place. So let's put here programmer's comments again. If the var variable is if the user, let's say, selects the yes button, then the application will close. That's it. Now if we press play, start, sorry. Okay, here's my application. The first thing I need to do is make sure that the validation rules are there. So click total. Okay, you have not selected the designer, that's good. You have not selected the size, that's good. You have not selected the terms and conditions, that's good. And we have the total cost is 0, that's fine. We're cool with that. So we can clear this out, that's good. The fields are cleared. We can select the designer. We can select the size. We can add the quantity. So if I put here 4, I want to check the validation rule, and I'm going to tick the terms and conditions, total. Please note that we do not have as many t-shirts in stock. Please try again. So when I click OK, I could actually change that. As you can see, the total is cleared. If I change that to 3 and click total, I've got now the total of 3 t-shirts. So the t-shirt is medium, which costs £35 per t-shirt. The total cost is £105, which is greater than £100. So let's bring a calculator now to double check that my calculation is working fine. So if I go here, calculator. So I will say the first thing I need to say is £35 times 3 equals, I've got £105, that's correct. So my cost variable is working fine. Now, because it's 10% discount, because it's over £100, sorry, so I will say minus 10%, so which is £10.50. So if I click equals, so £94.50, that's good. And if I say plus 20% for VAT, I need to be able to see now £113.40. So if I click equals, £113.40. So all my calculations are working fine. This is a way to validate again that you've done the right thing. So if I clear now everything, so everything is cleared. And if I click exit now, it's asking me, are you sure you want to exit the app? So this is the dialog I created. I will say no, so it takes me back. As you can see here, I remove the controllers, which I'm going to show you next. If I click exit again, I click yes. Now I remove the controllers by selecting my form, go to the properties and scroll down or up until you find the window style section, and control box, set it to false. If it's true, you can see the controllers. If it's set to false, you will not be able to see the controllers. Another thing you might want to do is, based on the information you add in on your list box, what you might want to do is go there with the list box selected and go to the behaviors, and on the horizontal scroll bar, change the horizontal scroll bar to true. Therefore, if the text goes over it, people will be able to scroll, otherwise they won't be able to read the text. Another thing you might want to add as well is, just in case you want to add more information there, you could actually display the scroll bar always visible. So if you set the scroll bars always visible, people will be able to actually see them. Okay, so this is how you develop a software application that uses a number of different variables, calculates the variables, and apply validation rules. If you study a little bit more the code, you will be able to actually understand and manipulate it in a way that is suitable to your needs, and therefore you will be able to create brilliant software applications. Now I'm going to just highlight all the code here that I have. Apart from the public class, so my public class and my end class is not added there. I'm just going to copy this and I'm going to paste it onto the web page, so people will be able to actually see everything with the comments. So feel free to change the comments and the code and the variables as appropriate in order to develop, like I've mentioned before, the software application that meets your needs. So thank you very much for watching this video. I'll see you in the future video tutorials. Bye.